I broke my leg at age 19, and the doctor that was taking care of me, he was long-haired hippie, inspired me. And I thought, I was like, I wonder what it takes to be a doctor. So I read all about it and I said, oh man, I'm doomed. Never happened. But I persisted and I became a doctor. And over the years, I learned that what I was learning was actually hurting us. I learned from people like you that taught me as a physician, there's another way. And that's when I learned paleo, then keto. And ultimately, almost 12 years ago, I went carnivore, and I'll never look back. Well, this is how I got to really be the big change for me. My friend Dave Kilmer died at age 52, about 15 plus years ago. He was a physician, healthy doctor, healthy. Lean, strong, muscular, runner, everything, great family man, all these things. The same year, my sister Marianne died of diabetes, 52. She had it since age 4. And I was like, okay, healthy guy dies. I understand when my sister had heart failure, she lost eyes and kidneys and all sorts of things over the years, but I didn't understand the story that a healthy lifestyle, someone should die. And I then dug deep in reading and working to understand and learn about the physiology of the human body. And the watershed moment was when they died, and my another friend, Craig Humphrey, died of cancer, esophageal cancer. And I began to really dig deep and understand that science and medicine is about money and not about men, mommies, and mastering your life.
I was going to give you a little intro, which I've tried to learn.
Yeah, little, keep it short and sweet.
And yeah, and we'll just hand over to you, and yeah, we can edit and stuff. I like your background, by the way. You're into planes, are you?
I fly airplanes. I ride bikes, and I do pottery and painting and a little photography, although these are not my pictures. And I started off in high school as a potter and a jeweler and an auto mechanic and a wood shop. And I love working with my hands. And I managed to get into medical school. I don't know exactly how, but I broke my leg at age 19, and the doctor that was taking care of me, he was long-haired hippie, inspired me. And I thought, I was like, I wonder what it takes to be a doctor. So I read all about it and I said, oh man, I'm doomed. Never happened. But I persisted and I became a doctor. And over the years, I learned that what I was learning was actually hurting us. And I learned from people like you that taught me as a physician, there's another way. And that's when I learned paleo, then keto. And ultimately, almost 12 years ago, I went carnivore, and I'll never look back.
Oh, wow. Well, I'm very flattered. Thank you for that. So I've got this flash opening for you where I'm going to say Dr. Kiltz is a diplomat of the American Board of Obstetrics and Gynecology and fellowship trained and board certified in reproductive, endocrinology and infertility. And it's great. And it is great, Robert. It's fantastic. I mean, it is fantastic, but you're absolutely right. I find I learn from people. I don't really care about the bit. I mean, I've obviously got the honours degree in science and physiology and health sciences. Maybe that helps some people. But you know what? I can watch someone with no qualifications and I can learn bucket loads from them. And I can watch a professor with a PhD. Some are brilliant like Bart and some are absolutely clueless, and it's frightening really sometimes. And you see it and you think they're not even thinking.
It's a story. And when I tell this story to most of my doctor friends, they're kind of like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, okay, just sharing a story. But what I've learned about scientists and doctors and statisticians is they become closed-minded. So the moment we become closed-minded, we'll never be open to the magic which the future has to hold. And the future is today. And I joined Bella's gang a while back, and I've learned from you and Raymond and Emily and so many others. And simply, I've learned from those that are participating, listening and learning. But the stories are critical, and we need to listen to our community.
Mm.
And we label patients over here and doctors over here. But ultimately, we're all this, right? We're label it, you enable it. And we need to start loosening up the labels and being open to the possibilities that there are new, different, and better ways. And that's what I've learned from, again, coaches, cheerleaders, experts, which
Mm.
are basically every human being in the world is an expert.
Of their own condition, they tend to be at some point. They know, well, even if they know what's bad for them. I mean, that's a sad thing, because I will have a lot of people say, oh, I eat this and I really hurt afterwards. And I say, why do you eat that then? And they say, because it's meant to be good for me. And that's
Well,
a real big problem.
they've always said a little bit of pain, no pain, no gain. And so
Mm.
maybe that's a lot of where it all comes from.
Yeah, maybe. Because I say, right, okay, what is it you're eating? Common one is bread. Oh, bread, I feel bloated, I feel terrible for 2 hours afterwards. Right, cut the bread out. Yeah, but grains, they're heart healthy. And I say, for you, it doesn't seem to be, does it? Let's go with your experience. Let's take it out for a week, see if you feel better. I'm not going to blind you with science. Let's do that. A week later, they feel better. And it's really that sort of, that's my approach. I love the science. I mean, I did an interview with a guy who, I'm on a 40-minute free Zoom. I had to keep reloading and doing different meetings because the science can be really deep. But in the end, I said to him, well, you know, in a nutshell, why did you become carnivore? And he just went, I took plants out. I felt better.
The story is simple. And Occam's
Jeez.
razor says the simple answer is the one. Every time I talk science, I'm like, okay, guys, the science is snake oil sometimes.
Mm.
Maybe all the metabolic pathways are great as unique and individual things, but nothing works individually way over here. It's all basically happening here. And so we study one thing and then we're like, oh my God, this is the most important thing. But ultimately, that's not quite how it works. It works in a magical, mysterious way. And the simplicity is we are more lion-like than we are sheep-like.
Mm.
And you want to be a sheep or do you want to be a lion? Eat
Yeah.
like a lion, and there you go.
Right. Cool. Well, do you know what? I'm just recording. I'm going to use this without the big build up. We're just us talking, which is great. But there will be people that do have really basic questions
Sure.
because of your expertise. So, Robert, I'm going to ask you a really basic question. You can do a long, short answer. But how does diet affect fertility? Because that's your main area of expertise at first, isn't it?
Well, diabetes, hypertension, cancer, stroke, ADHD, OCD, infertility, they're all listed diseases. The diseases are labeled by humanity, by the way, and experts like doctors. But infertility is no different than Alzheimer's, dementia, hypertension, diabetes, cancer, and stroke. So how do you treat all diseases? Well, start with what you put in your mind. You have to have positive thoughts every day and not negative thoughts, but and then you need to fill your body with fatty meat. And how did I become this? Well, as a fertility doctor, I thought I knew the answers. And so I was fed a story that you're just unlucky. It's mysterious. They call it idiopathic infertility, which
Mm.
means we're idiots, in my opinion. And
Yes.
so we're closed-minded to the possibility there may be something way opposite out there. So, but I'm a standard trained reproductive endocrinologist, OBGYN. I trained in internal medicine first and then did a 4-year residency. And then I did a fellowship and practiced for years. And I began to integrate acupuncture, massage, meditation, and mindfulness, because that sounded like it was kind of maybe 20 years ago, I started integrating that into my practice of medicine because stress was a fallout. People left fertility treatment, and by leaving it, they're not improving their odds. Keeping at anything will get you something. And then while I was doing that, some of my patients were doing paleo. I'm like, what is paleo? I knew nothing about paleo diets, but they were getting pregnant on it. And so I learned about that. And then I read Marie Emmerich's book on keto. And then I found carnivore. And so what I've learned is that infertility is an inflammatory condition. secondary to a high plant-based, low animal fat grazing diet. And it really turns out to be as simple as that, which damages the fallopian tubes, the uterus, the ovaries, the testicles, the sperm, all of it is damaged. And then it damaged the hypothalamus, the pituitary, the adrenals, which are all critical for the normal function of ovulation and the sperm and egg getting together and implantation. So the simple answer is infertility is an inflammatory condition caused by a standard modern American or global plant-based diet.
And you know, that's fantastic. There's two things there. I'll come back to the mindfulness because I'm big on that as well. But it's not listening to the obvious. So when you see people online saying, I've lost my period, right, okay, what have you done? Well, I've done nothing. No, come on, what's changed? Well, I'm doing plant-based or vegan or low fat or calorie restricted. Bang, there's your answer. You know, there is your answer. Hang on a minute. You're not giving your body nutrients to say, let's be reproductive. You're telling your body there's a scarcity of nutrients. Seems to me really obvious to join that dot. But I'm going to talk about that mindfulness. And for people that have never seen my interviews before, I don't have lots of set questions. I listen and then I respond. I agree with that wholeheartedly. And one of the things about cravings is people wake up and say, right, today I'm not going to have carbs. I'm not going to have ice cream. I'm not going to have biscuits. Well, they're filling their head with ice cream and biscuits. So I always say, switch it. Today I'm going to be carnivore. Today I'm going to have ribeye. I'm going to have bacon and I'm going to love it. And so many of my clients say that's such a simple thing that's made a big difference. Not for everybody, but it's made a big thing. So I think the mindfulness and being positive, a lot of people are very dismissive. The experts are dismissive. But if I had two people in me, say my personal training side of things, and one said, oh, I'm going to run 400 meters today, it's going to be a terrible time. And the other one said, I'm going to run 400 meters today and it's going to be great. My money's on this guy straight away, because that's the mindset. And as soon as you see a simple analogy like that, yeah, do you know what? I can change my life like this. You know, it just is amazing. So the inflammatory response is definitely there, glycation and removing carbs. And you've obviously had that, you know. So, you know, would you say that you see that every week, at least once a week, somebody reversing the problems and you know, then becoming pregnant, basically?
Well, infinite times, because much of what I do is share online, and we have communication between YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and all of them. And so the stories are everywhere. I see in the community people getting pregnant by doing this. I never talk to them. They've read my books or watched my blogs, and really, I see so many people. I chatted with someone this morning from I don't know where in this world, but not in the U.S., and they want to be skinny. I said, well, do you want to be pregnant or skinny? And they sort of have two different approaches, but skinny is deadly in a famine, and it's not meant for fertility. Fat is meant for fertility. That's really it. And you know, one of the things I think is critical is that we're missing the fact that fat is the fuel, not sugar. All sugars are glycans. Glycans are critical for glycosylation. Glycosylation is the combining of a sugar to a protein. And if that doesn't happen in your body, you're dead. And fat is the fuel. And the mitochondria in every cell of our body uses acetyl-CoA from fatty acids. And so there's some simple stories, but there's some tough ones to believe in this. But eating fatty meat, eating less frequently is some of the simple things to do. And you're right. This is going to be hard. Well, if you're going that way, it's going to be. Now, if you say this is going to be hard and I love hard, that's a different way to approach it. Hard makes the most amazing things in life. You can do hard, you can do anything. And so incrementally change and grow. The mind is the master. Wim Hof is a vegetarian and he's got the most amazing mind. You can do anything with the mindset. But if you master the mind and the mouth, oh my God, that is the master class.
Yes. And you saying about hearing from clients, I want to just pop in that I had a message only this morning that mentioned you. And it basically said, I feel energized. I've had an immediate boost in my libido. Dr. Kiltz is onto something. And that I've never coached that person. We've just had a quick chat and I've sent them over to look at you. And you know, by proxy, have made that person say they feel energized, an immediate boost in their libido. We've done nothing. We've done nothing but put the information out there. So that's really great. And I want to share this with you because you might not have heard this, because I got this from another client. Said to me, you know, Stephen, a mountain that's smooth is not worth climbing. It's the adversity that makes you climb it. And I said, yeah, it's actually the adversity that means you can climb it, because a smooth mountain is pointless, absolutely pointless. You can't get a grip. So I think that's great how you're talking there. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Nothing great has ever come out of easy.
No,
Nothing. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I would say one of the things I loved about before we recorded, and I wish I recorded, was a little bit about you. So what's your hobbies there? Because I think that tells me a bit about you as well.
Well, I do painting, pottery, poetry, music. I fly airplanes, jets, and I didn't learn to fly until I was 55.
Wow.
I'm a motivational speaker. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a father. I'm a partner. I'm a brother. But ultimately, we're all humans on this journey. But I get into my pottery studio, or I get my guitar and I start playing, but mostly I love pottery. It's the one thing I started when I was 16. Mrs. Wong in Los Angeles, John Marshall High School, taught me, and it was one of the things I continue to today. I have a website called Kiltz Cups, so you can go on there and buy a cup or a pot from Dr. Kiltz or Kiltzy or Rob or whatever it is. And because we're all artists, we all have the DNA of a superstar. And each and every one of us is a superstar and an artist. And you just got to start doing something bad to make it bad.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love it. Yeah, I think that's one of the things I found in the carnivore space, or even in low carb or keto, is we're open-minded and quite creative in the main. I mean, I play the piano pretty badly. I've put some videos up about how badly I play it. I play the guitar pretty badly. I've done that in public at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. I've
Nice.
written shows up there. So I think it is a trait. I'm not saying that other people who otherwise haven't got those traits, but I do think it seems to be very a common denominator, that everyone's very creative, I think. I want to go back to changes in how you perceive the mainstream media, or the narrative about medicine, because I've got a landmark thing that definitely happened to me when I was training to do obesity and diabetes specialism. One was, they kept saying, dose your insulin in relation to carbohydrates. And I was the guy putting my hand up, why don't we just lower carbohydrates? Because I'm not a big fan of pumping medications into people. Seems like a no-brainer. But the other one was learning about the number needed to treat. That was a big turning point for me, because I was like, what's this? And I said, oh, yeah, well, when you go to the GP, we are general practitioners in the UK, and they give you a pharmaceutical solution, there will be a number needed to treat. So that one given to you you might need to treat 300 people for you to get a benefit. Now, I never had heard of this before, and I thought, wow, my visit to the doctor, I thought it was like, oh, here's Stephen. Yeah, he needs this. This is going to work. Not, here's Stephen. Here's this thing. There's a 300 to 1 chance that this is going to work. So that was my moment when I really started to question everything. Did you have a moment like that where you thought, this traditional teaching is not how it seems?
Well, this is how I got to really be the big change for me. My friend Dave Kilmer died at age 52, about 15 plus years ago. He was a physician, healthy doctor, healthy, lean, strong, muscular, runner, everything, great family man, all these things. The same year, my sister Marianne died of diabetes, 52. She had it since age 4. And I was like, okay, healthy guy dies. I understand when my sister had heart failure, she lost eyes and kidneys and all sorts of things over the years, but I didn't understand the story that a healthy lifestyle, someone should die. And I then dug deep in reading and working to understand and learn about the physiology of the human body. And the watershed moment was when they died, and another friend, Craig Humphrey, died of cancer, esophageal cancer. And I began to really dig deep and understand that science and medicine is about money and not about men, mommies, and mastering your life. And you're right. We have to treat thousands of people to save one person. But in fact, why aren't I looking and trying to understand you? And so digging deep into this, number one, the body burns fat, never sugar. Number two, I read a book by Richard David Feynman called The World Turned Upside Down. And the book basically said, and he's a PhD biochemist, teaches at one of the downstate colleges in medicine and stuff. But he said that carbohydrates are never required for the human diet. I'm like, wait a minute, never? I said, well, then why do we need a little bit? And then fiber menace is another one. Fiber is deadly. So I learned a few things that I'm like, okay, well then what causes all disease? Basically, high plant-based, low animal fat diet and eating like a grazing animal. That's the simple story. I'm like a broken record, but the watershed moment is friends that have died and the narrative, family members, and the narrative that is perpetuated in the modern science world that you need your fruits and vegetables, your fiber, your seeds and nuts, and fat causes disease, which I'm like, no way. And I spent a lot of time, money, and energy to become a physician. And now I'm simply being taught to tell everyone the cause of disease is fatty meat. And yet I know that's wrong. And I can't do that. I won't do that. Again, you're another human being, a beautiful human being. Why wouldn't I give you the most amazing advice, which is going to change your life, and you're not going to need a drug. You're not going to need a doctor. You're going to, not need a dissection. The cost of healthcare is going like this. It's exploding. People are on 5 or 6 drugs, done with that. And alcohol is deadly for all of us. So is tobacco. Certainly excessive coffee and caffeine is not good for us. And so, listen, we live not in an amusement park, but a temple. It's time to change it up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have one vice, which is my Swiss water decaf, which full transparency, I always drink it on screen because I have a vice. I'm not perfect.
Okay, none of us are. I love Kiltz's ice cream. I eat it from time to time. I love French fries from time to time. I drink water. Gerolsteiner's my water. I love coffee. I've been off of it for 4 months to Cherish and Emily and but I serve it to people, but I'm just doing it because it's hard to do. Yes. I love hard things, and I feel great without coffee. My energy is amazing. You don't need it, but find the joy in Swiss decaf, right? Of course, but you're probably not drinking it all day.
No, absolutely. And I'm aware when I drink too much, and then I curb it completely and utterly. And I think that's the thing that maybe be lacking in the last few years, of that informed consent. I'm happy if someone comes to me and says, I'm doing a vegan diet, and these are the reasons, and they all make sense. All right. Whatever those reasons are, if they make sense. But if they come in and say, because it's better for my health, it's better for my fertility, it's going to stop me getting diabetes, it's going to make me really healthy. I'm like, well, let's look at those things and see if they're true. And that's the thing that irks me the most, is because we have so many people in the community say, so you're telling me basically to do the opposite of what I've been told. And I'm like, yeah, I hear that expression all the time. So do the opposite. And it's become a bit of a joke in the steak and butter gang. Is there's one particular member will write, basically what Stephen's going to say is do the opposite. Right? And it does feel like that ever such a lot. And the sugar thing is so obvious to me that sugar's dangerous. But now what's being twisted, I don't know if you've noticed this, talking about the need for carbohydrates, the sciencey sort of influencers that are pushing it say you need carbohydrates. No, we make carbohydrates. The ones we need, we make, but our liver makes them. You're misleading because you're using all these reports and saying that. You're not saying dietary carbohydrates, but that's what people will take from it. That's what people will take. You need some carbohydrates. So therefore I've got to eat them. And that's that
Well,
sort of duplicity I don't like, actually.
There's some, see, people in science, and most of the docs that I know and the scientists, even the carnivore world, don't understand glycans or the glycobiome. And I talk a lot about the glycobiome. So glycans are sugars: glucose, galactose, mannose, fucose, N-acetylglucosamine, N-acetylgalactosamine. These are critical glycans, which are bound to proteins and lipids that are the barcode of your body. RSV, coronavirus, every entity of our body has a sugar. Okay, so again, when we use the term carbohydrates, it's plants, basically. Plants are poisonous. They're the predators and we're the prey. That's as simple as that. But you're right. This is why I get a little, I want to use the word confusion, right? We get confused. Everyone's confused because we need fiber. Oh, you can't poop. Well, it's like, okay, try not eating it and try to stop your poop from coming out, right?
Yes.
You can't do it. And then most docs don't understand glycosylation at all. Glycosylation is critical. And everyone thinks the microbes are good in your bowels. They're deadly. The microbiome is a deadly killer, and eating probiotics, I think, is deadly for us.
Yeah, and that's the thing about fiber. I mean, there is very convincing evidence you need zero fiber. Just going back to common sense, we can't digest it, so why would we eat it? We can
Why
get
would
nothing
you eat something that has no value other than colon cancer?
Yeah, and we've got members who become a carnivore, definitely strict, having no fiber, and they have diarrhea. So yeah, they can poop. No, and I always say to them, it's because you're clearing your fiber out of your colon, and that was masking what was going on, soaking up all that water and
dumping, trying to cleanse, and we also eat too much protein. High protein diets are deadly.
Is that because the lower fat happens as a ratio?
Well, right. So low protein. See, everyone thinks it's a low carb diet. It's not. It's a high fat diet. People have it wrong. They're focusing on the wrong important thing. See, amino acids come from proteins and simple sugars come from plants, carbohydrates. Both of those things require insulin and a healthy liver to make fat. But when you eat fat, it goes to the lymphatics and it's distributed everywhere because acetyl-CoA comes from fat fast. And in order to make acetyl-CoA from glucose, it has to happen in the liver and it takes time. And so the science, again, my sense is the liver's function, the primary function of the liver is number one, to make fat. If you can't make fat, you die. Type 1 diabetics can't make fat, and liver failure patients can't make fat. And so this idea that insulin is necessary to put sugar into your cells is incorrect. You don't need insulin to put sugar into your cells, but you need glycans. And when you eat fatty meat, by the way, fatty meat has glycans. Fat has glycans. Glycans are connected to every cell of your body. Every membrane of your body contains sugars. So this idea that you require your liver to make the glycans, it's not true. And my bet is glycogen is critical for glycosylation, which if you cannot glycosylate at the speed of light, you die at the speed of light.
Absolutely. You see, this is going back to even my personal training qualification, where they were talking about the different energy systems and all this stuff, and anaerobic and aerobic. It's like, oh wow, yeah, you can't do anything without oxygen. You can't.
Well, it's oxygen, but you're right. It's oxygen is the rate limiting factor. If you want to get more stamina, you'll build the oxygen support. But sugar damages the microvessels, which damages the delivery of oxygen to those mitochondria.
Yes. So we were not going to get all sciencey, but I'm glad you did.
Well, it's again, you gotta, but the simplicity of it is fat is where it's at and skinny is deadly.
Yeah.
And lean meat, the chicken without, you need fatty meat. That's what you want. I say a 1-to-1 ratio of fat to protein. Even a 2-to-1 ratio is better.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when people get into, I'm going to make your eyes roll now, when they get into calories, it's like, oh, you don't need to track. You don't need to track. An egg is pretty much 66% fat, 33% protein. It's done it for you. Nature's done it for you. Ribeye is pretty much the same. It's there. That's what we evolved eating. So your DNA is ready for it. And yeah, there are some people, I think, where they add the butter and stuff like that, I have no problem with that, because they have like maybe 20 years of being calorie restricted, fat restricted. They need to stock up. And I think this is where people maybe go wrong, because they go really high fat at the beginning and think, well, that's it forever. But then they lose that taste. And I go back to, well, be intuitive. If you feel that putting the butter on, you don't need to do anymore, your body's telling you, whoa, hey, we're there, we're sorted. So yeah, I love how you push stuff, and you're obviously very passionate about it. Maybe that's what I lack. I'm quite laid back about my advice, and maybe I need to be a bit stronger.
Your advice is right on, and enjoy what you share. And I am a little hyper OCD, ADHD, and very, very passionate about it. And I'm a little loud sometimes too.
Well, that's fine. I think that's good. I mean, when you so you still practice the fertility?
I'm a full-time practicing physician. I own and run a 500 employee fertility practice in America, and we see people from the UK and all over the globe. I'm a surgeon. I operate 1 to 3 days a week. So I'm full-time. I fly, as I said, I fly airplanes. I do my pottery. I do my podcasts. I'm up at 3 a.m. I do my bike work, my rowing work, my lifting work, light stuff, nothing heavy. I listen to you, and I listen to so many people out there to inspire me, to get me ready for the day. And then I do my live at 5 a.m. every single day, which is mostly about inspiration. This week's book, we're going to do Nina Teitzel's book, The Big Fat Surprise.
Wow.
We do a book a week, and we've been doing it now for a while. And I started Mind Body Smile about 20 years ago. It's another entity within my drkiltz.com now, but it was about the mind and the body, and just a smile on your face. That's all you need.
Fantastic.
No matter what you want to eat, it doesn't matter, but stay away from drugs and alcohol. They're deadly, and they're trying to make you think it's good for you. Ayahuasca, marijuana, psilocybin, don't do it.
Yeah, just be clean and eat healthy. Just that, to me, it seems really obvious. All the things you mentioned there, if you could get somebody send me the links for all the different things.
Yeah. We'll send you, and we want to co-link all of this, by the way. And we're going to do another interview, Stephen, on both sides, because we've gone like this. And that's the beauty of these relationships is I'm always talking about you and Bella and the team and everyone. And, but we are sharing, and sharing is critical, and health and wellness is your responsibility, right? Each and every one of us is responsible. You and I could say whatever we want, but people need to decide and do something about it.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing. And I'm thinking of doing a video about this, because when I was high carb and I believed it all, and I was a personal trainer, I would celebrate the odd person, lost 12 pounds, feels a bit better. And I'm not exaggerating or under exaggerating. I got a slight buzz, but it was, oh, wow, most of these people are not getting better. Since I've been carnivore coaching, the last 3 years, I've got at least 500 people, and we're talking 40. If someone loses 40 pounds, I'm like, well, yeah, okay, we can get you wherever you want. And getting off the meds, I've just done one person, 9 meds gone, and the decades of intracranial pressure problems. 12 days, Robert, 12 days of carnivore. They've gone back to the doctor and it's gone. Anyway, Right. Now I'm going to ask you a little question off the cuff. I might not show this because I'm interested in your opinion. This does divide a lot of people. So have you got any thoughts about gout? I mean, as you're a surgeon as well, I think there might be an interesting take on this.
It's caused by a high plant, high protein diet. It's all inflammation. And this idea about uric acids and all this stuff. I mean, look at and Randall cycles or Krebs cycles or whatever it is. It's distractions. Gout is an inflammatory condition that mostly affects diabetics, pre-diabetics, and it's a low-fat diet, and that's it, solid. And low. And the other thing I just read a book by James D. Nicolantonio, the salt fix. We don't consume enough salt. Interesting thing about salt is the more salt you consume, your body will excrete excessive salt. The more sugar you consume, your body will store it as fat, and it will damage the liver, it will damage the pancreas, and it will cause you to be diseased. See, everyone's looking to measure something. Enough measuring. You can measure in the way you feel, right? I say, well, my cholesterol doesn't cause disease. I'm sorry. A low cholesterol is deadly. Basically, we're measuring things, and you go to the doctor and you go like, oh my God. But doctor, I feel great. I'm on this carnivore. Oh, that's not sustainable. My friends, lions are sustainable eating meat forever, and so are you. But these are the things that sometimes not going to the doctor, sorry, doctors, not getting all the blood work, you don't need it, and stop measuring. I don't even know what a calorie is, right? These, how many people are on a salad diet and they're gaining weight? Well, because salad is sugar and is as simple as that. And plus, you're probably adding all the dressing and all the other stuff to it. But I'm just amazed at our human story. But each and every one of us has to take charge of our health and wellness. And nowadays, just Google Coach Stephen and Dr. Kiltz and Bella and Baker and Barry and so many amazing people out there on why carnivore is like the master class. I call carnivore the master class. And if you want to be keto, that's for the masses. That's pedestrian. Key to health and wellness is carnivore and fasting. I do one meal a day, and get out there and connect with people like what you're doing, right? Well, this is so what I do is, it's called the baby's way: bacon, eggs, butter, beef, intermittently feasting. See, it's feasting and fasting. See, 23 of fasting, one meal of feasting. And then Kiltz's ice cream from time to time, and salt, more salt. That's really it. So you're right. It's fasting and feasting. Because when you intermittently fast, I intermittently don't eat. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Language is critical. You need to know the language of life.
Well, Robert, thank you very much. I really enjoyed it.
Coach Stephen, I've enjoyed this. I look forward to doing this again and again and again. And we're going to get you on this side of the pond. I was listening to your ear or so, but God bless and thank you so much for letting me join you today.
Lovely.